So I just actually want to know, how did you feel about this? Did you feel that, um, give me a thumbs up if you thought this was a good activity to do, or thumbs down if you're like, I don't think it really helped me. How do you think it helped your fluency? So do you think you got better and better reading it out loud? I know some of you guys probably are going, oh, I don't like reading out loud, so I just didn't like it. And that's okay. But the whole point of this one was to work on getting us. Just a second, I was going to write something or do something. Um, was to help increase our fluency out loud. Now, if as you're going to listen to me as we read the books in, I think, our next section, so not quite yet. I know you started it yesterday, but I actually read really quickly out loud. And it took me a long time to read quickly, and it's super important that you pronounce these words correctly so that you know what the vocabulary word is. You even notice, if you're in my class next year, we will read a lot of things out loud. And sometimes I'll read fast, but sometimes I have to slow down if I come to a new word or a word I don't use very often. And there were a lot of new words in here. So I'm glad that a lot of you guys were able to were able to practice your fluency with this, because the point is, I want you to be able to pronounce things a little bit better and to get a little bit faster with your reading. And then a lot of you guys, yesterday was to kind of listen to it. If you ended up re-recording it one more time, that's great. But I said, please make sure that you do the second page. And if you listen to it, that's awesome. I didn't say you had to specifically say anything else. But if you notice, hopefully you were able to read it 3 to 5 times. Okay, that's why we did it one more time. And hopefully you were able to hear the more and more. And we didn't talk about this beforehand of what I wanted you to work on, so that's okay. But when you're reading fluency, you want to be able to do the right phrasing. So stopping, pausing, or being able to articulate things very well, being able to give an expression. So, oh my goodness, if you see an exclamation mark, or I have no idea what you're talking about, or what do you mean? Question mark. So when you see some of those punctuations or some of those ending things, you're able to use some expression, and you have a good pace. Okay, so maybe not too fast, for example. It's right here. So you didn't read, in 1805, when Lewis and Clark met Nez Perce, they encountered a people well integrated into their home environment. Ooh, that's almost too fast. So you read at a good pace. And your volume, hopefully, because you read it more and more, you're a little bit more confident being able to read it. So you're maybe a little bit louder. So good job. I want you to think about, ladies and gentlemen, if you had to read it one more time. Okay, you don't have to tell me, but I want you to think about, what would you improve on or try differently next time? So if we actually had you read it one more time, what is something that you could do to maybe improve it? You don't have to tell me, but I want you to think about it. Would you have more phrasing and pausing? Would you try to read the words a little more better? So a little, not more better, more articulate with articulation, so you can hear that I am pronouncing the things well. Would you try to give it more expression? Okay. Would you do it maybe at a louder volume, or maybe a little bit quieter of a volume, right? Because that can be overwhelming. Or maybe a good pace. So awesome job, you guys. The reason why I brought this up is because we today are going to look at some oral readings. Yay! Now, oral readings, that was one of, I think, your word yesterday. Oral traditions. So what you were supposed to do is to put this vocabulary journal in Notability. So I think if you watch the video, I've got it in Notability. And it is for lessons 9 through 12. You weren't supposed to turn it in. So I know I had one parent go, I couldn't figure out where to turn it in. Nope, because we haven't finished it yet. So we're going to be on lessons 9 through 12. And our first one to write in there was oral tradition. So being able to tell stories through word of mouth. So through storytelling. You guys, Native Americans in the past, they didn't have words. Oh, all of our language actually started out with telling things orally, so through only stories. And they actually didn't develop writing until much later. Let me see if I can find that a specific time. But written oral language actually came first. So let me see. When was written language created? Because it was 300 or 3200 BC. So, like I said, originally, written language, writing stuff down, didn't come till way later. Actually, it was thousands and thousands of years after they started telling stories. And the Nimipu didn't even have a written language during this time. So, in order to tell these important stories about how life was created, they actually said things orally. So they told stories, and it was a big event, you guys. They often went around and they had big fire pits or big fire gatherings, and they would tell these stories, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I want you to think about, why do people tell stories? Okay? And what I want you to do is in Schoology, on the side today, it has a discussion. Oop, never mind. Where did I have this written? I had this written somewhere. Okay, let me put it on board really quick because I had it written down. I have it here. Answer the question: why do people tell stories? Oh yeah, I do have it. I already have the Jamboard created. I'm awesome. Okay, so I'm going to share this link with you in the chat, and I want you to put. I'm going to change it now. Anybody can edit. Okay, and I'm going to put it in the chat. I want you to write why of the grade thing. Oh, BC. BC means before Christ. So it's so usually what the general society uses is BC and AD. So it's before Christ, or right now we live in AD, so after death. Otherwise, let's see. BC, I'm trying to think of what it means if it's not in biblical terms. Non-biblical terms. It's like before, it's like common, it's before the common era is what it says too. So it's usually during a certain period. So we have things, I think of it as really, really early, and then common time right now. So we are AD. So BC is before. So we are 2,000 years after the common era. Okay, so it was
weren't dinosaurs BC? Yeah, they were.
They were, yes, very much but BC, but humans also lived BC too. Yep. Okay, so I put in the chat this Jamboard. Okay, and I want you to tell me here, why do people tell stories? You can use, let's use the Post-its. Let's use the sticky notes. And I want you to tell me really quickly, why would somebody, so you don't need to draw, you just need to do a Post-it note. Why would someone tell story? The meeting is going to take the whole time today for the most part. Okay, so I put in the chat the Jamboard, so you should be able to click on a Post-it note and write. So Wyatt, go ahead and use the Post-its. Anonymous Wolf, use the Post-its. I see people that are joining. Yep, so Wyatt, go ahead and grab a Post-it. You don't have to draw. Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Riley. You can use whatever colors you want on the Post-its. Ooh, so thank you. Some of you guys are starting to write down. Why do people tell stories? Ooh, you had an English book yesterday, Noah, that was on Lewis and Clark? Ooh, thank you. I see Berkeley, I believe. Whoever B is. Oh, Baylin is writing. Eleanor is writing too. I see Eliana wrote something. Thank you, Anonymous Hedgehog. Somebody, apparently not everybody's logged into their My Panthers. That's okay. I'm going to give you one more minute to write down, why do people tell stories? 30 seconds more. Then I'm going to change it so that you can't edit anything anymore. Senor Werzinger. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so let's see what we have. I'm going to zoom in so we can read these. So we wrote people have to have more knowledge about something or to say how something happened. So if you think of like if you have any little siblings, they're going to tell you a story because they want to tell you what happened. I know my niece has told me about how she got stung by a bee 3 or 4 times, and I don't even know if it actually happened. Ooh, to have more knowledge about someone or something. To tell history, to explain a moment, or something on how they happened. To know things beyond our earth, like for example, the coyote and the monster, because how it's told to the past to others. Ooh, this is actually a very important idea with historians. So most stories, they have a point of view. They're biased is a word that we might hear. So people have biases. They have a point of view. So they might have thought something was some way or another based on their opinion or based on their point of view. Ooh, Wyatt, thank you. It helps them understand something a little bit better. I tell stories a lot, if you can tell, because I want you to understand it better. Like, for example, oh man, my niece told me a lot of things. Yep. Ooh, to teach lessons. Okay. A lot of fables, a lot of children's fables teach us lessons. Things that are important or important about the past. Thank you, Berkeley. To teach new generations about history, information, culture, and knowledge. Ooh, those are some really good details, Nora. To inform people about what happened with the last generation. Yep. When I was younger, I had to walk both ways up and down the street, right? Thank you, Aaron. Because it's an easy way to explain things, like how people before they had words. To remember things about the past, exactly. To share fictional and non-fictional stories about life or other stories. For example, a story that I tell or I like to share that my father-in-law told my husband when he was little. Feliz Navidad, he told my husband, means give me a donut. That's what he told him. It was a fictional story. I don't know why, but that's what the story he always told. So, and yeah, to tell about the past. Yeah, you guys know Feliz Navidad does not mean give me a donut. But that's what my husband thought growing up. He's like, that's not right. I'm pretty sure that's not true. So, yeah. Awesome job. What we're going to do today is we are going to listen to an oral tradition. Okay, so you should have this already in your vocabulary journal. If you did not get your vocabulary journal set up, that's under Wednesday. Now, I graded many of your guys' vocabulary journals. Some of you guys got zeros because you took copies of my vocabulary journal. You guys, our vocabulary journal is really important to write, okay? We have vocabulary that we talk about every single day. So yesterday, you only had one word to write down. So yes, I expect that in English, I even showed you how to set it up, that you clicked on Vocabulary Journal 9 through 12. You couldn't have turned it in because we're not done with it. I even showed you how to set it up. Yes, Feliz Navidad sounds like fleas on my dog. Yep, that too. And there was only one word that you had to write yesterday. Okay, so I expect that you fill out this journal. You guys, vocabulary is super important. And if you notice, I don't know if your teacher told you yesterday or today, but we're gonna have conferences next week. I'm going to say, oh yes, maybe your child does really well participating, but they haven't filled out their vocabulary journal. That's going to be really important because that's how you expand not only your Spanish vocabulary, because we use a lot of cognates, things that are very similar, but that's how you're going to expand your English vocabulary. Okay? So, I do expect that you do your vocabulary journal. Ooh, wrong one. We're here. So our question today is, what roles do stories play in the Nez Perce culture? I'm super excited. We're going to read The Coyote and the Monster, okay? And we are going to look at speaking collaboratively, okay? So collaboratively means together. So we are going to not only think about how did they speak, but how are we going to speak together? Ooh, here's a new vocabulary word I want you to write in your journal. Collaborate. Okay, so in our vocabulary journal, go ahead and do a double screen, dobla pantalla. And under oral tradition, I want you to write the word collaborate. Ooh, doing things together. Nope. Collaborate. So we work together to do something. To finish. I'm going to say to finish something. Again, if you do not have this, this was under Wednesday. Okay, so you need to put this in your notability. We said it is lessons 9 through 12, so section 3. Okay, that way you just don't have tons of vocabulary, and I can see that you're getting it done. And we're on lesson 9 today. Other synonyms. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to actually write an example. So maybe you might work together, you might collaborate on a project in school. Okay, so you can write this down as well. So I'll give you a moment to finish writing that. Oh, my coffee is, I think, getting a little burnt. It's been here for a while. Okay. And we might not get through all of the storytelling today, just that you know. So if some of you guys already responded to the discussion post, you probably shouldn't have, because we may not get through all of it today, and we will finish tomorrow. Usually it takes us 2 days to do a lesson. Okay, so here we go. this is what we're going to talk about today. We are going to speak, so our oral traditions, our oral speaking, and we're going to do it collaboratively, so together. So we're going to do this together. So here is our norms, okay? That means, so nuestra normas are things that this is what I expect when we start talking. We're going to end up going into groups eventually. And you know what? You have done a really good job actually doing this already. I have actually bragged about my 5th grade class. I've talked to Miss Hale on how awesome you guys are with speaking, and even my other teachers that I meet with. So yesterday, I really bragged about you guys because you guys have done a really good job with some of these speaking things. You didn't even know about it. You guys have done a really good job at taking turns and speaking one at a time, and everybody speaking at least once. So I noticed last week, when we were reading our mini articles, everybody kind of took a turn to read a paragraph. That's a great job, you guys. Even in Spanish, I know it gets a little bit difficult to do, but I hope you're doing that in your Spanish classes too. English is your first language, so it might be a little bit easier, but hopefully you're still doing that. I also expect that we're going to be listening to respectfully and carefully to others' ideas. And I've seen too that some of you guys have done a really good job about this because you've responded going, I agree with you. Okay. And this class has been awesome doing that. Estoy de acuerdo con Riley. Okay. So you've given your full attention. You've done this too. You've built on the ideas of others. So, oh, I agree with you. I really think the Nez Perce lifestyle was very different. So you guys have built on it. I want to see more of this though. And this is something that I tell kids every year. If I've had 5th grade, I've actually taught 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade many, many times. And I always say, ask more questions. Okay. So if you're confused about something or you want somebody to clarify, don't stay confused, you guys. People I know get a lot often will say, well, I seem like I'm dumb or I don't get it if I ask questions. Nope. You actually are showing the smartest people that I've ever met. They ask questions. Okay. That's how they learn. And actually, those people build better skills and do much better in college if they ask questions. If they don't ask questions and they stay silent, then I notice that their work sometimes doesn't show what they get, and they stay confused. Okay, so ask questions. You're not dumb. Actually, like I said, if you ask questions, it shows that you're being really smart because you're using those resources. And agree and disagree with ideas, not the people. Okay, so be polite. You guys have done that really good so far. And you've done really well at asking others to support their ideas. Okay, so what do you mean by that? And actually, this class does really well with asking me. I don't understand what that means, Senora Wersinger. Keep doing that, so ask questions. Invite new voices to share ideas. Ooh, Smitty, what do you think? And then stay focused, okay? I wish I could post this somewhere. Actually, you know what? I want you to take a screenshot of my screen. Take a screenshot. Beautiful. Because I want you to be able to come back to this, okay? We're going to look at it a lot, and I want you to keep thinking about it. So we're going to speak collaboratively, and we're going to listen to carefully what others say.
I need to get a screenshot of your screen because something happened.
Okay, let me go back to it. Where did I put it? Right here. Okay, take a screenshot.
Okay, I did it.
Perfect. Thanks for asking questions. So we're going to continue doing this in this next section and when we read our book. Norms, so as we call them, these are like our normal things we're going to do. It's important because it's going to help us get the best and the most clear information for an academic conversation. And you guys, sometimes do teachers explain things really weird? Yeah.
Yes.
So sometimes I love that when you guys speak because maybe somebody understands it and they can put it in terms that a 5th grade can understand. And actually, Ooh, I'm going to give an example. I had that happen to me in math today. I went, oh no, how should I teach you guys? I know how to teach it and how I learned it in university, but I can't remember how to teach it to a sixth grader. So I taught it, and somebody else was able to explain it in sixth grade terms. So speaking collaboratively helps your peers, your classmates, understand what's going on. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about today, and I'm so excited. We're going to talk about a story called Coyote and the Monster. Okay, so eventually, if we finish, hopefully we finish all 3 parts today. Hopefully, your only homework is to say, what is the meaning of this story? And that's the only thing you're going to have to respond. So, I have 3 parts. And if you've got headphones, beautiful. Or if you want to, you can actually just keep this open, close your eyes, and find a cozy spot in your house. And I want you to listen to these 3 parts. Oh my goodness, is it not going to be able to let me? It's no longer supported. If not, I have it written down. Let me see. Coyote and the Monster story. Let me see if I can find it somewhere else. Oh, I'm gonna look one more place. You can find a comfortable spot, you guys, because we're gonna listen to a story. Maybe I have it with video. Well, that's the steamboat. I want the coyote. Okay, I've got one place that I might be able to have it because I didn't realize that it was Flash. If I can't find it, I will just read it because I do have it. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see. Oh, that's not a very good one. Yeah, they had that guy who actually read it, and I was hoping because he was Native American. He was supposed to be reading it. Well, okay. Well, I will just read it out loud then. I want you to sit back and close your eyes, and I want you to listen to it. And, I want you to think about things that you notice or wonder. You don't have to write them down, but I want you to think about it. Okay. So, it's a little bit long. That's why you're going to just sit back, close your eyes, and listen. Coyote and the Monster story. And this is by actually, normally we would have been listening to J.R. Spencer, who is a Nez Perce tribal member. Now, our stories would tell these stories, and this is how the knowledge of the people was handed down from generation to generation. We'd have stories that would tell about the surroundings, why the landscape is shaped in the way it is, why animals shaped the way they are, and why they behave the way they do. We also had stories that they'd tell just for fun. And the children, they would hear stories every wintertime, from the time they were in cradleboards all the way until they grew up and they became children, the ones to tell the stories to their children. The children would also learn how they were expected to behave in these stories. Now, the first story that the children hear is about the coyote and how he created people.
Are we gonna be doing so are we gonna be reading it or
You're just going to listen to it. Okay?
okay.
So go ahead and keep. Now, Coyote lived here in this valley, and every springtime he would travel up onto the Palos prairie to visit his cousin, the fox. One spring, while Coyote was away, a huge monster came up out of the ocean onto land. This monster was so large. When he'd open his mouth and draw in a breath, all the plants and animals would fly into his stomach. This monster's name was Letosius. Now, Meadowlark, which is a bird, knew that the coyote was very smart and had great power. Coyote would be able to defeat this monster. So Meadowlark flew as fast as he could to find Coyote. 3 days later, he came to the fox's den and he hollered, "It's a ya! It's a ya! Come away, amoit! Coyote, Coyote, come quick!" Coyote came rushing out of the fox's den and asked Meadowlark what was going on. Meadowlark told Coyote about this huge monster that it was. He was devouring all the animal people. So Coyote came up with a plan to defeat this monster. He went to the trees and he began to gather pitch. And when he had enough pitch, pitch is kind of like that black gooey stuff that you think of like our tar. Okay. He made a large ball and he put it in his sack. Then Coyote gathered 5 stone knives. He wrapped them in clean buckskin and he put them in his sack. Then Coyote went to a pond nearby and he cut hemp, and Coyote braided this hemp into a good, strong rope. He bundled that up and he put that in his sack. When Coyote had gathered all the tools that he would need to defeat this monster, he went to the sweat house and he crawled inside and he sweat for a long time, really hot, to clean himself, because he didn't want to taste bad to the monster. When he was finished, he came out and gathered his things. Coyote came back to this valley. Coyote could see the monster sleeping down in the valley, so he took out his rope and he tied one end around his waist and he tied the other around a mountain. And Coyote hollered at the monster, "Itza, Litza! You can't devour me, my power's too strong." The monster woke up and he looked around, but he didn't see anyone. All he heard was the voice, "It's Leah, Litza! You can't devour me, my power's too strong." The monster opened his mouth and drew in a breath, but Coyote just went to the end of his rope and stopped. Coyote started singing songs, teasing this monster, trying to get him angry. He'd sing, "Kutsi, kutsisi, gunye, gunye, kuts, kutsisi, gunye, gunye." Oh, the monster got angry, and he emptied out his lungs and drew in a huge breath. This time, Coyote cut the rope, and he went flying into the monster's stomach. It was really dark in there. Coyote couldn't see anything, so he took out a ball of his pitch, and he built a fire. And the fat melted from the monster's heart and dripped into the fire and kept it going. The monster gripped his chest. Oh, that coyote! Ah, oh! The heartburn was so bad. The poor monster. There is no such thing as Pepsid AC. Now Coyote could see many of the other animals already devoured, nothing but bone. Some of these animals were sick, and others were so scared. Coyote told these animals, "You gather up these bones and you put them in front of the holes in the monster, because when he takes his last breath, he'll open up. You kick those bones out and follow right behind." So that's what the animals did. They gathered up the bones and they put them in front of all the holes in the monster. Now Coyote reached out to get his knives, and Rattlesnake was there. Rattlesnake snapped at Coyote. Coyote asked Rattlesnake, "Why are you snapping at me? I'm here to save you." "You move aside and let me work." But Rattlesnake wouldn't listen. So Coyote got mad and he stepped on his head. That's why, to this day, rattlesnakes' heads are flat. Coyote took out one of his knives and he went over to the heart of the monster, and Grizzly Bear was standing in the way. Coyote told Grizzly Bear, "Move aside so I can get to work." Now, Grizzly Bear didn't like being bossed around by this little coyote, so he roared at Coyote and swung at Coyote with his huge paw. Coyote asked Grizzly Bear, "Why are you roaring at me? I'm here to save you. You move aside and be quiet. Let me get to work. Kununsma, minosu." Well, Grizzly Bear wouldn't listen, so Coyote got mad and he punched him in the nose. That's why, to this day, Grizzly Bears' nose are flat. Coyote took his knife and began to cut on the heart of the monster, and the monster rolled around in agony, hollering, "Coyote, come out!" But Coyote wouldn't listen, so he kept cutting away. Coyote slipped and broke his knife, so he picked up another knife and he kept cutting the monster's heart. And the monster began to beg Coyote to come out. He'd say, "Coyote, come out! Come out! Come out my nose!" Coyote said, "No, I'm not going to come out your nose, because then all the animal people will make fun of me. They'll say, 'Oh, there goes Old Man Coyote, full of snot.'" Again, Coyote slipped and broke his knife, so he picked up another knife and he kept cutting away. And the monster begging Coyote to come out, he'd say, "Coyote, Coyote, come out my ear." Coyote said, "No, I'm not going to come out your ear, because then all the animal people will say, 'Oh, there goes Old Man Coyote,' and a ball of earwax." Again, Coyote slipped and broke his knife, so he picked up another knife and he kept cutting away. And oh, this monster, he was getting desperate. He said, "Coyote, Coyote, come out, come back, come out the back." Coyote said, "No, I'm staying here, I'm staying here." Finally, Coyote was out to his last knife. There was only one piece of flesh holding his heart in place. Coyote turned to the animals and said, "Get ready. This monster is going to die. When he takes his last breath and opens up, you kick those bones out and follow right behind. Go quickly. There won't be much time." Coyote reached. Oops, sorry. Coyote reached up and he started to cut. Then he slipped and broke his knife. So he grabbed the heart and he pulled as hard as he could. Finally, the heart broke free and the monster took one huge last breath and opened up. The animals kicked the bones out and they followed right behind. Now, Raccoon, he wasn't sure which way to go. Finally, he decided to run out towards the back. Raccoon ran as fast as he could, but just as his body cleared, the monster began to close up and his tail got stuck. He had to pull a few times to get his tail free. Raccoon, he was so relieved to be free of the monster, he breathed a huge sigh of relief and he wiped the sweat from his brow. That's why to this day, Raccoon has those rings around his tail and that mask. You see? You can always see him down by the river washing his hands. Muskrat, he wasn't sure which way to go. He decided he was going to follow Raccoon. After all, he was much smaller and he thought he was a lot quicker. Muskrat ran as fast as he could, but just as his body cleared, the monster closed up tight, and Muskrat pulled and pulled and pulled, but he couldn't get his tail free. So he called for Coyote, It's-ya-ya, help, I'm stuck." Coyote looked around the body of this huge monster, but he didn't see anyone. "It's-ya-wits, where are you?" "I'm underneath the monster's tail." Coyote walked around the back of the monster, and sure enough, there was Muskrat. Coyote grabbed Muskrat's paw and he started to count. Neck, lipped, mit, and he pulled as hard as he could. When he did this, he pulled all the fur off Muskrat's tail, and Coyote scolded Muskrat. "I told you to hurry up. I told you didn't have much time left, but you dawdled along. From now on, all of your descendants will remind you of your pokiness. That's why Muskrat doesn't have any tail or any fur on his tail." Many of the animals said, "Oh, let that monster's body lie there and rot. Serves him right for coming up into the land and causing all this trouble." But Coyote had a use for the monster. Coyote cut off the monster's legs and he threw them way up north in a place to what we call Canada today. From that place, The long-legged people would be from there. That's what they call the Blackfeet. It's a tribe. Coyote cut off the monster's head and he threw it way over east into the place that we call Montana today. That's from the place the Flathead people come from. And Coyote did this, cutting off parts of this monster, and he threw them in all different directions, and people sprang up from these parts. Finally, there was nothing left but the heart and a few ribs. And the animals came to Coyote and said, "What about this place here? It's very beautiful, but you didn't put anyone here." So Coyote told the crane, "Go down to the river and get some water." Coyote picked up the heart of the monster and he squeezed the blood from the heart. He took the water and he washed the blood from his hands. As the blood hit the ground, people sprung up and the Coyote said, "These people, they'll live here in this beautiful place. They won't be a very big people because I've deprived them, but they'll have big hearts and they'll be the fiercest on the battlefield." And that's how the Nez Perce came to live in this area here. That's how the Coyote created people. It's because of the story that oftentimes Nez Perce people will refer to themselves, they'll say, Yaya Niminsa Mayitsits, children of the Coyote. So, hopefully you thought and you wondered about something. Okay? And is there something that you would like to share, you guys, about that you wondered or you noticed?
I noticed that they didn't just talk about the one tribe. They talked about all the different tribes like surrounding them and what pieces they were made out of.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
I wondered, why did he only pick the Nez Perce to be the one with the big heart and with like the most important thing, like the heart and the blood?
Yeah. Anybody else?
I noticed how the storyteller used a mix of Native American and English.
Yeah, you heard a lot of the Nez Perce language in there because remember, we didn't have English at that time. Anybody else? Have a notice or a wonder?
I wonder, that like why was the monster made out of water? Because it said he sprung up from the water.
Okay. Anybody else?
I wonder if the animals were angry after he yelled, punched, and stepped on them.
Okay. Does anybody want to build on what somebody else said or add anything else?
I'll add that I wonder why the coyote was demanding with the other animals.
You're right. That is something that normally we don't see that direct speaking. You're right.
I wondered why they chose the coyote to be like the leader.
So to be that main character?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what is now, they must like do something for the coyote or like honor the coyote in some way because he like made them.
So maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Riley?
In spirituality, I was wondering if the coyote was the Weekin. The Weekin was a really like powerful guardian spirit.
Oh, so that's great. You guys connected it from what you guys have already read. What about clothing? So, do you think since the coyote made it, do you think maybe they used some of the parts of a coyote or dressed like a coyote when they did spiritual? They had spiritual, I guess, celebrations.
They could have, because that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, the Waikin was that, spiritual guardian. So, think of a picture of the coyote. So here was, I actually found some photos here. Here is a picture of the, if you can see my screen, let me see, can I open the image in a new tab? So if you see, some people have artwork based off of it. And it says,
that he's cutting with.
yeah, it says, Coyote severs the monster's heart with his flint knife. Okay, so here's the knife. Okay, and it talks about the bones in there. Let's see. Let's look at this image. So this one, it's kind of hard to see, but it's got the coyote and showing him. We've got, so this is what an actual coyote looks like. They're pretty small. They actually can be pretty scrawny. They're a lot smaller than wolves. So if you think about so some of you guys wondered, why did they choose the coyote? Well, we could maybe look at, they're pretty small, right?
Yeah, but they are fierce hunters
Mm-hmm.
because we have them way in our backyard. Well, like not in our backyard, but we have a creek in our backyard, and across the creek there's coyotes.
Yeah. I always think of coyotes as being kind of cunning and being very smart. Okay, so they are able to move into quick, small areas. And that would kind of be with what we talked about in here, is that he was pretty smart and quick. Yeah. Oop, I saw somebody. Oliver, what did you say?
During the summer, I went to Montana and we saw tons of coyotes when we went there.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, Wyatt?
There's coyotes who have come in my backyard before, and I've seen them.
Yeah,
my dogs go crazy.
Yeah, they are all over, especially in, I know I live in Coon Rapids and Blaine and Ham Lake. Since we're a little bit more out of the city, we've got a little bit more. See, this is the person that was supposed to be reading it, and but our thing wasn't quite working. Look at this video, or this picture. This is, I wonder, I should be able, this is with the Nez Perce culture. So if you look, remember we had the bear. So it talked about, somebody had mentioned, it talked about how the bear was made. This one, let's see. There's a whole bunch of other legends. Snowshoe and Cottontail Rabbit, Coyote and the Swallowing Monster. I want to see if there is any other pictures in here. Page 15. Nope. It just tells me the story. But yeah, if you look at the first page, it talks about some of the Nez Perce culture. Anything else you guys want to add? Winter, yep, you've got coyotes that walk around.
Was the like other animals important to the story beside the coyote?
What do you guys think? That's a good question.
Maybe the tribe or the Nez Perce now think of a meadowlark as like a messenger.
Ooh, that's a good prediction. Anybody else? How do you usually approach bears and rattlesnakes?
Quietly and carefully.
I don't approach them.
So yeah, they explain, but it also kind of talked about their personality. Like a bear, would growl at you. Maybe a rattlesnake, maybe they tried talking about the personality of them too. Okay, so your only other work that I want you to do today is, I want you to go, it's under upcoming, or in the folder for today, or if you click on the agenda, I want you to write, I want you to answer this discussion. So it says response to Coyote and the Monster. So I want you to write a paragraph. What is the character of the coyote like? What personal traits or qualities make him different than other characters in the story? Okay. And I want you to try to reference something. Okay. So go ahead and you can do this now. So write a paragraph. What is the coyote like? What does he do? Maybe you can put some things of what people had mentioned here. What traits or qualities made him kind of different? Okay. So go ahead and do this now. Paragraph, so at least 4 sentences, you guys.
Okay, I don't have any questions.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and I want you to answer it. And then after you press submit, then you can leave. Okay.
Write it in your notebook and then just take a picture of it.
Let's see. I think, yeah, I believe you can take a picture of it here. If you want to write it, I believe, yes, you can take a picture and add it in the discussion. Ah, interesting, Wyatt.